Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today by painting a picture. It's a scenario that I think is going to feel, well, uncomfortably familiar to a lot of you listening, especially if you're sitting in the C-suite or, leading a major HR function.
Okay, I'm ready. Set the scene for us.
So picture a boardroom. It's,
No?
let's say it's Tuesday morning, the coffee is lukewarm. You've got the VP of HR, the CTO, the CEO, maybe a few anxious board members on the big screen. And there is this palpable pressure in the air. Everyone knows they need an AI strategy.
Mm-hmm. The elephant in the room.
It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
So someone finally raises their hand, maybe it's the CFO looking at the quarterly projections, and asks the question that everyone assumes is the smart, responsible question.
It's a safe question.
The safe question.
Yeah.
They say, how do we use these new AI tools to do what we're already doing, but say 30% faster and 10% cheaper?
Ah, yes. The classic efficiency play. The productivity question. I know it well.
Exactly. It's the default setting for every single one of these conversations. And, on the surface, it sounds responsible. It sounds like good business hygiene. But we have a stack of research today specifically focused on the work of systems thinker and futurist Nuri Demirci-Lopez that suggests this question isn't just slightly off.
No, it's more than off.
It suggests that asking this question might actually be the fastest way to break your company.
It's a bold claim, isn't it? But looking at Lopez's work, particularly his writings on Neoscentia and the future of corporate architecture, he's absolutely adamant. He argues that if you look at AI purely as a speed tool, a way to type faster, code faster, or generate more email, you are committing a fundamental misdiagnosis.
A misdiagnosis of what is actually wrong with modern work.
Precisely.
Misdiagnosis is a strong word, though.
Yeah.
Because, look, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Please do.
If I can get my team to write emails in 3 seconds instead of 3 minutes, or analyze a spreadsheet in 10 seconds instead of an hour, surely that's a win. I'm saving time. Time is money. Why is that a misdiagnosis?
Because it assumes the core problem is a lack of speed. It assumes the bottleneck is human effort. But Lopez argues that for most modern companies, speed isn't the problem at all. The problem is the structure in which that work happens.
The structure.
Yeah. He introduces this really powerful concept that AI isn't just another tool like a faster hammer. He says it is a new execution substrate.
Execution substrate. Okay, that sounds a bit like biology class. Or maybe geology. What does he actually mean by that?
Think of it like soil. The substrate is the fundamental ground layer upon which everything else grows. For the last 100 years or so, the execution substrate of the corporation was human labor organized in hierarchies.
Right. People in boxes on an org chart.
Exactly. We built everything, our org charts, our communication protocols, our incentive plans, our meeting cadences. Everything was built on top of that soil. Now, Lopez is saying AI changes the soil itself. It's a fundamental shift in the medium of work.
Okay, I like that analogy. It's powerful. So if the soil changes, you can't just keep planting the same old crops and expect them to grow better.
You can't. And here is the real danger, the core of his warning. If you have toxic soil, a broken organizational structure, bad incentives, siloed information, and you pour Miracle-Gro, which is high-speed AI on top of it, you don't get a beautiful garden. You get massive high-speed weeds. You are accelerating the dysfunction that was already there. You're just making it grow faster and bigger.
So we're not talking about productivity gains. We're talking about scaling chaos.
Precisely. If your organization is confused about its strategy and you give it AI, it will execute that confusion at light speed. If your teams are misaligned, AI will help them build the wrong things faster than ever before. And that really is the mission for this deep dive.
Right.
We are going to move away from this outdated idea of managing people to make them faster and look at the new essential role of the leader as a designer of systems.
And as part of that, we have to talk about digital twins,
Yeah.
specifically the Neoscentia model Lopez writes about, and this massive shift from labor to capital.
And maybe the most provocative part for the listeners, we're going to talk about why you might need to spend a lot more time doing absolutely nothing, literally staring at a wall, if you want to stay relevant in this new world.
That last part is going to be a hard sell for the Type A listeners, but I am here for it. We will definitely get there.
Yeah.
So let's start with the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Why is efficiency the wrong goal? I feel like I need to really understand this because efficiency is etched onto the wall of every corporate lobby in America.
It is. It's the holy grail. Well, let's look at the hidden assumption that's always present in those efficiency conversations. When a leadership team says, let's make this process more efficient, what are they really assuming?
They're assuming the process itself is good and that it's the right process.
Exactly. They are assuming that the work itself is stable. They assume the tasks are the right tasks. They assume the roles are correct. The underlying belief is, our process is fine. It's just that humans are too slow, so let's speed up the humans.
Right. It's the old Taylorism idea. The factory is designed perfectly. We just need the workers on the assembly line to move their hands faster.
But Lopez argues that human effort hasn't been the real constraint in knowledge work for a long, long time. The constraint is structure.
The structure again.
Organizations aren't slow because people are lazy or typing slowly. That's a rounding error. Organizations are slow because decision-making is fragmented. Information is trapped in departmental silos. Feedback arrives too late to matter. The system is choked with friction.
I see. So if you take a broken, fragmented structure, where nobody knows what the real priority is, where teams are accidentally working against each other, and you layer high-speed AI on top of it, what actually happened?
You don't fix the system, you just make the broken parts move faster. Lopez uses this brilliant, chilling phrase. He says you anesthetize the system.
Anesthetize. Wow. That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
You make the pain go away, but the underlying disease just gets worse.
Exactly. Think about it with a concrete example. Let's say your company has a culture of over-documentation. It's a classic symptom of low trust. You write 50-page reports that nobody really reads because you don't trust each other to make good decisions without a massive paper trail.
Right. The CYA report. Cover your...
You know what it stands for. So that's a cultural pathology. Now you bring in AI. The AI can summarize those 50 pages into a bulleted list in 5 seconds. Amazing, right? And the AI can also generate those 50 pages from a few bullet points in 20 seconds.
So wait, the writer uses AI to write the 50-page report.
And the reader uses AI to summarize the 50-page report.
That's insane. It's a completely pointless loop of digital paper shuffling.
It's the loop of doom. But notice what happened. Did the organization get smarter?
No.
Did the decision get any better?
Absolutely not.
You just reduced the friction of generating waste. You made it easier to perform the ritual of work without actually doing any real work. Lopez calls this throughput without coherence.
Throughput without coherence. That hits hard. I think everyone listening has felt that. More activity, less progress.
It creates this dangerous illusion of productivity. Look, we generated 10,000 reports this month. But if those reports are just compressed noise being passed back and forth between algorithms, you haven't created any value. You've just increased the entropy of the system.
You get more emails, more dashboards, more Slack messages, but you actually know less about what is really happening because the signal-to-noise ratio completely crashes.
It collapses. The system gets louder but dumber.
This connects directly to another one of Lopez's articles in our stack today. Most organizations aren't misaligned. They're mentally fragmented. This one goes even deeper into the psychology of why we're so slow.
Yeah, and this is crucial for the HR leaders and VPs listening. We usually treat coordination as a logistics problem.
What do you mean by that? A logistics problem?
We think, I just need to route this message to Bob in finance, and then Bob will know what to do. We treat information like packages in a warehouse. My job is just to get the package to the right shelf.
Right. Move box A to location B. Task complete.
But Lopez argues that in complex knowledge work, coordination is not a logistics problem. It is a psychological and, get this, an epistemic problem.
Epistemic, as in relating to knowledge and truth.
Yes. It's about truth. It's about shared reality. The real question isn't, did Bob get the memo? The real question is, do Bob and I see the same reality? Do we have the same mental model of the problem? And most of the time, the answer is a terrifying no.
So how do we solve this in the past? Or how do we try to solve it?
We relied on tacit knowledge. We relied on culture, on osmosis. You'd sit next to someone in the office for 3 years. You'd go to lunch. You'd pick up on the vibe.
You've done the unwritten rules?
The unwritten rules. You'd know that when the boss says urgent, she means by Friday, not drop everything right this second. You'd know that Dave in accounting is always grumpy in the mornings, so you should ask him for that budget approval after he's had his coffee.
It's the texture of the workplace, the human context.
Exactly. But that entire system of alignment relies on physical proximity. It relies on long-term, stable teams. That just doesn't work when your team includes freelancers you've never met, remote workers in 3 different time zones, and now, and this is the crucial part, AI agents and digital twins.
You can't transmit vibe to an algorithm.
You can't put "ask Dave after his coffee" into a Python script. The AI lacks that social antenna. It only knows what is explicitly stated in its prompt and its training data.
So what happens when you introduce these literal-minded AI agents into a team that has always relied on vibes and unwritten rules to get things done.
I imagine it's like throwing a wrench into a very delicate set of gears.
It's worse. It acts as a brutal truth teller. AI agents are, in Lopez's words, unforgiving. They do exactly what is specified. If your instructions are vague, the AI will execute that vagueness at scale. If your organization is chaotic, the AI will scale that chaos instantly. It doesn't have the social grace to cover up for a bad process.
None. And we've all seen this, right? A manager gives a half-baked instruction to a human employee. The human thinks for a second, fills in the blanks, and thinks, oh, he's under pressure. He probably meant the 2024 sales data, not the 2023 data he asked for. I'll just fix that.
The human repairs the error. We do it all day long.
The human repairs the error. The AI amplifies the error. It will generate a 100-page report based on the wrong data, and it will do it in 30 seconds.
So the AI forces us to externalize all of that tacit knowledge. We
Right.
can't just get it anymore. The system must understand it explicitly.
Correct. And that is the provocation. AI forces you to be explicit. You can't hide behind, we'll figure it out in the meeting. The AI needs to know the logic now. If you try to automate a mess, you just get a perfectly automated high-speed mess.
Okay, so if the diagnosis is that we are fragmented and we're chasing the false god of efficiency, let's talk about the shift. What's the cure? The source material we have talks about moving from intelligence to coherence.
This is a really, really important distinction. And I think it's the core of the new leadership model. For the last 20 to 30 years, what was the highest value asset in a company?
Intelligence. Brains.
Intelligence. We wanted the smartest guys in the room. We hired for IQ. We paid fortunes for data scientists. We thought intelligence was the ceiling of what was possible for an organization.
And now?
Lopez asks this great question. After intelligence, what comes next? Because, and this is the disruptive part, intelligence is now cheap. It's abundant. For all intents and purposes, it's becoming a commodity.
You can rent a super brain.
You can rent the smartest brain on the planet, a specialized large language model for $20 a month via an API. Intelligence is becoming a utility, like electricity from the wall socket.
So if intelligence is cheap, why do we feel so stuck? Why aren't companies moving at the speed of light?
That's the paradox, isn't it? People are more informed than ever, but less certain. Organizations have more tools than ever, but seem to move slower on the things that matter.
So the bottleneck is moved.
The bottleneck has moved. It isn't about generating insights anymore. The bottleneck is coherence. It's the ability of the entire system, the people, the processes, the AI agents, to align decisions, timing, attention, and execution around a single, clear intent.
It's not about generating the right idea.
It's about the idea translating into coordinated action without distortion or delay.
Let's stick with that orchestra analogy you used before. Can you flesh that out? What does coherence look like versus just intelligence?
Okay, so imagine that orchestra again. You can go out and hire the 100 best musicians in the world. That's maximum intelligence. Every single person is a virtuoso,
A team of all-stars.
a team of all-stars. But if they're all playing different songs, or if they're playing the same song but at slightly different tempos, what do you get?
You get noise. Expensive, horrible noise.
Expensive noise. That's it. Coherence is the conductor. It's the sheet music. It's the shared timing and rhythm. It's the thing that takes all that individual brilliance and weaves it into something harmonious. Most organizations today are full of brilliant musicians playing expensive noise. They don't lack talent. They lack the architecture to make that talent resonate together.
So if I am a leader listening to this, a VP or a C-level exec, my job description just fundamentally changed. I'm not the chief decision maker anymore. I'm not the lead violinist trying to play louder than everyone else.
You are not. That model is obsolete. You are moving from executor to architect. Your job is no longer supervision or motivation, or at least those are secondary. Your primary job is system design. You need to design the environment in which intelligence, both human and artificial, can operate coherently.
System design sounds abstract, big. What does that actually look like on a Tuesday morning? How do I design a system?
It starts by changing what you measure. You have to stop measuring productivity in the old sense. How many widgets did we make? How many hours did we build? How many emails did we send?
The vanity metrics of busyness.
Exactly. And you start measuring things like alignment latency.
Alignment latency. Okay, what is that?
How long does it take for a strategic decision made at the top to accurately propagate to the edge of the organization where the work is actually being done? In most companies, it takes weeks or even months, and by the time it gets there, the message is so garbled, it's useless. It's like a game of telephone.
And in a coherent system.
It's near instant. You also start to measure coherence itself. Do we all have the same mental model of what good looks like for this project? Can everyone on the team state the mission in their own words and have it mean the same thing?
This also brings in the concept of time architecture, which I found really fascinating in the source notes. We usually think of time management as, how do I squeeze more meetings into my day?
Right, that's the frantic urgency model.
Yeah.
That's trying to run the engine at 10,000 RPM constantly until it blows up. Lopez contrasts that with cadence or rhythm. Yeah, high-performing systems have a rhythm. They have fast loops for operations, shipping product, responding to customers, getting things done. But they also have slow loops for structural reflection.
Oh, I see. So you aren't just running at 100 miles per hour all the time, heading for a wall.
If you do that, you will crash, especially with AI accelerating everything. Leaders must consciously design when decisions happen. You need to create protected space. You need to say, okay, team, we are going to execute heads down for 6 weeks. And then we have a structured 2-day period where our only job is to question our assumptions, to reflect, to redesign.
That feels risky, though, doesn't it? To deliberately stop. In this market, Wall Street would have a heart attack.
The risk is the exact opposite. If you don't design the slow loop, the AI will just accelerate you off a cliff. Without the pause, you never question the trajectory. You just go faster and faster in the wrong direction. You have to design the pause as carefully as you design the sprint.
This feels like a perfect moment to transition to the solution Lopez proposes. Because so far, we have diagnosed the problem pretty thoroughly. We are fragmented, we are chasing efficiency instead of coherence, and our leadership model is completely outdated. But what is the tool or the system that actually fixes this? This is where we get into the stuff that sounds like science fiction but is apparently becoming very real. Neosentia and the digital human twin.
This is absolutely the centerpiece of Lopez's vision for the future of work. And we have to be very, very clear here, because I know what everyone is thinking as soon as they hear that phrase.
Right.
A digital human twin is not a chatbot. It is not an avatar that looks like you and waves its hands in the metaverse.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because honestly, when I hear digital twin, my brain immediately goes to a 3D model in a video game. Or I think of a customer service bot that pops up and says, "How can I help you today?"
Forget those images entirely. Those are the shallow marketing versions of the idea. When Lopez talks about a digital human twin in the context of Neosentia, he is talking about a cognitive model. Think of it as an externalized decision layer.
Okay, you got to break that down. Externalized decision layer.
Let's draw a line. A chatbot retrieves information. It looks up facts from a database. A digital twin retrieves judgment. It captures how a specific expert thinks, how they prioritize variables, how they sequence actions, and most importantly, how they navigate uncertainty when the data is incomplete.
So it's not just modeling what I know. It's modeling how I think. It's my decision-making logic.
It's modeling your personal operating system. Let's use a concrete example to make this real. Imagine you are a senior crisis manager for a global logistics company. You have 20 years of experience in your bones. When a hurricane hits the supply chain in the Gulf of Mexico, you don't just look at a dashboard of data.
No, I'm using intuition. Gut feel.
Exactly. You have a deep, nuanced mental model, a gut feeling, a set of heuristics that tells you what data to ignore and what tiny signal to panic about.
Right. I know that when the dashboard flashes a big red warning, it might just be a sensor glitch. But when Bob, my guy on the ground in Houston, calls me at 3 a.m. and his voice sounds a certain way, I know it's real.
That right there, that is judgment. It is distinct from information. Now, historically, that judgment, that priceless asset, lives and dies with you. It's locked in your head. If you are asleep, or if you are on vacation, or if you quit and go to a competitor.
The company loses that judgment instantly. It becomes dumber.
Instantly dumber, yes. What Lopez is proposing with Neosentia and this human model concept is that we can now train an AI not just on your output, the emails you wrote, the reports you filed, but on your process. We can create a model that learns to weight variables the way you do. It learns what Bob's 3 a.m. call means.
So effectively, I can provision my judgment to sit in 20 meetings at once. The twin isn't there to chat with people. It's there to monitor the data flow and say, based on how the senior crisis manager thinks, she would flag this specific shipping route as unacceptably high risk, even though the dashboard says it's fine.
Precisely. It allows your intelligence and your judgment to persist and operate even when you are not physically in the room. This leads to what Lopez calls stabilization. Humans vary. We get tired, we get hungry, we have bad days where we make sloppy emotional choices. A twin reduces that variance. It prevents knowledge decay. It makes your best thinking the baseline, 24/7.
That sounds absolutely incredible from a business perspective, but also a little threatening. I mean, let's be real. If the system has my judgment, why does the company need to continue to pay me?
And that is the billion-dollar question that is keeping HR departments and executives awake at night. But Lopez doesn't shy away from it. He frames this as a massive fundamental economic shift, the shift from labor to capital.
Okay, let's really dig into this one. From labor to capital. That sounds like something out of an economics textbook, but it has huge immediate implications for hiring, for careers, for everything.
It's the ultimate so what for every executive and employee listening. Historically, expertise has been inextricably bound to the human body. That's labor. If I want your crisis management expertise, I have to hire you.
All of me.
All of you. I have to pay for your healthcare, your onboarding. I have to deal with your commute, your burnout, your vacation days, and I only get you for 40 or 50 hours a week, best case.
And I can only be in one place at one time. I am the physical bottleneck for my own expertise.
Right. You are a biological constraint on the system. But if your expertise can be encoded into a digital twin, into a model, then that expertise becomes unbound. It becomes capital. It becomes an asset that can be rented or provisioned on demand.
Provisioned. So a company might not hire a marketing director in the future. They might provision the marketing director capability via a digital twin for a specific product launch.
Exactly. Or let's take a less senior, more common role. Let's say you need a compliance officer to review thousands of contracts for a specific clause. Why hire a person with all the associated friction, cost, and time when you can rent a compliance capability via a Neosentia digital twin that is scalable, instant, operates 24/7, and never gets tired or bored?
It sounds ruthless when you put it like that, but also undeniably more efficient. It completely changes hiring from finding a person to fill a seat to accessing a resource to solve a problem.
Lopez argues that for a huge number of roles, hiring a full-time human will become just one option among many, and often it will be the least flexible, most expensive option. Why buy the cow and feed it and house it and deal with its moods when you just need the milk on demand?
So we are unbundling the human from the work, the capability from the person.
We are, and this leads to the human model concept. The human becomes the source, not the surface.
Yeah.
The human expert moves upstream. Their job is no longer to do the repetitive execution. Their job is to design the model, to teach the twin, to refine the judgment, to handle the exceptions. But the twin handles the day-to-day execution.
So the human becomes the philosopher king,
Oh, yes.
the teacher, the coach for the AI.
The architect. You are designing the logic that the system executes. And this connects right back to our earlier conversation about coherence. If you have a Neosentia digital twin that perfectly embodies the CEO's strategic judgment, that twin can be present in 1,000 meetings simultaneously, ensuring every decision is aligned with that core intent.
That is how you get coherence at scale.
It is. You aren't playing that broken game of telephone anymore. You have the source code of the leader's intent active and executing in every single decision loop across the entire organization.
Okay, I can absolutely see the business case. It's faster, it's more consistent, it scales in a way humans never could. But I want to pivot now to the human side of this, because if I am listening to this and I am not the CEO, maybe I'm a mid-level manager or even a senior VP, I'm feeling a little anxious right now, maybe a lot anxious.
Yeah.
If the doing is outsourced to AI and the deciding is outsourced to my digital twin, what is left for me? What is my job?
That is the existential crisis of this new era. It's the central question. And Lopez doesn't sugarcoat it. He acknowledges the anxiety. He says that if you strip away the repetitive execution, what is left for the human is three things: judgment, attention, and ethics.
Judgment, attention, ethics. Let's dig into that.
Okay.
Because Lopez has a very specific, very prescriptive formula for how humans need to operate in this new world. He calls it the 90602 rule.
Yes, this comes from one of his LinkedIn posts, and it is essentially a personal operating system for the age of AI. He argues that if you want to remain sovereign, and that is the key word he uses, sovereignty, you cannot just work harder. You have to work fundamentally differently.
Okay, hit me with the numbers. 90, 60, 2. What is the 90?
90 minutes. Every single day, you must find and protect 90 minutes of deep, uninterrupted focus on building.
Building what?
Creating new assets, not answering emails, not maintaining the status quo, not sitting in status update meetings, building something that didn't exist yesterday, a new strategy, a new framework, a new product, a new piece of intellectual property.
This reminds me of that classic distinction between the manager schedule and the maker schedule. But he's saying everyone, even the most senior managers, needs to be a maker for 90 minutes.
Because maintenance work is being automated. If your whole day is answering emails and checking boxes and moving tasks from in progress to done, you are just training your replacement. You are doing work that AI is perfectly designed to absorb. The only durable value you can add is in creating the new.
Okay, 90 minutes of deep building. I can get behind that. It's hard, but I get it. But then we hit the 60, and I read this 3 times to make sure it wasn't a typo.
Yeah.
He wants busy executives to spend 60 minutes a day meditating.
Yes. 1 full hour every single day. No excuses.
I can literally hear the eyes rolling in our audience right now. Come on. Most leaders I know can barely find time to eat lunch at their desks, let alone sit in silence for an hour. Is this just more wellness fluff? Find your zen, be mindful kind of stuff? Because if it is, nobody's going to do it.
It sounds like it, doesn't it? It sounds like a luxury. But Lopez is incredibly specific here. This is not for wellness. It's not about feeling relaxed or happy. He calls it system recalibration.
Recalibration from what? What's broken?
From psychic entropy. It's a term he borrows from the great psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Basically, think about your brain like a computer browser. By 2:00 p.m. on a Tuesday, how many tabs do you have open in your brain?
Oh, God. Hundreds. The email I didn't send, the weird look my boss gave me in that meeting, the project that's behind schedule, the text I forgot to send my spouse, the kid's soccer game I missed. It's just a constant hum of unresolved noise.
Exactly. That is psychic entropy. It's mental clutter, and it consumes your RAM. Now, if you try to make a high-stakes architectural decision, which is your new job, remember, while your RAM is completely full of that noise, what kind of decision will you make?
A bad one. A reactive one.
You will be reactive. You will snap at people. You will choose the easy, short-term fix instead of the hard, long-term solution. You will optimize for reducing your own anxiety, not for creating value.
I feel that in my bones. That is my baseline state most Tuesdays.
Right. And in a world where AI can accelerate every decision, reactivity is fatal. If you input reactive anger into the system scales it instantly. You need to be the calm center of the storm. The 60 minutes is to clear the cache. It's to reduce the noise so that your judgment, which is your primary, uniquely human asset, is clean and sharp.
So it's not a luxury. It's critical maintenance for the biological machine. It's defragging your own hard drive.
It's infrastructure. It's as important as sleeping. If you don't do it, your judgment degrades. And then we get to the 2 days. Every single quarter, you take 2 full days of thinking days.
What does that look like? Is it like a personal offsite?
It's a total disconnect. No meetings, no email, no consumption, no reading the news, no podcasts, sorry to say. Just you, a notebook, and a pen. And your only job is to redesign the system. Your personal system, your team's system, your company's system.
This goes right back to that slow loop we talked about earlier. Building the time to reflect.
Precisely. If you are constantly in the weeds fighting fires, you can't see the architecture of the system you're trapped in. You need to step out of the system entirely to be able to redesign it. Leaders rarely schedule thinking time. They schedule meetings. But thinking is the highest leverage act available to a leader. 2 days of clear architectural thinking can prevent years of misaligned, frantic execution.
Lopez has a line in that post that really struck me. He says, if you can spend 8 hours building someone else's dream, you can spend 90 minutes building your own.
That's a punch in the gut, isn't it?
It is, but it's also incredibly empowering. It reframes the whole conversation. It's about building your own platform, your own assets.
And that is the ultimate goal here for the individual. You must become a platform. You convert your unique knowledge and judgment into a system. Maybe that's a Neosentia digital twin. Maybe it's a methodology you write down. Maybe it's a business you start that works and creates value while you sleep. That is sovereignty.
Yeah.
It's not just about being more productive. It's about owning your future in an economy that wants to turn you into a commodity.
But there's a huge emotional hurdle here, isn't there? I think we as a culture are addicted to busyness. It's how we signal our importance.
Oh, absolutely. Lopez talks about the quiet shame of being busy but not building. We use busyness as a proxy for value. Look how hard I'm working. Look how many emails I sent. My calendar is full. It's performative work.
It's theater.
It's theater. And Lopez calls out the willpower myth. We think if we just had more willpower, more discipline, we could do it all. But he says willpower isn't scalable. Systems are. You need to design a system that creates focus by default, not by force of will. The 9Z602 rule is that system.
This brings us to the final landscape, the future. We've talked about the broken present, the technological solution with Neosentia twins, and the intense personal discipline required to survive. But what does the environment look like for the organization that actually pulls this off? What's on the other side?
It looks like a place where uncertainty is reframed as an asset.
Uncertainty as an asset. Now, that is deeply counterintuitive. Most executives I know, most HR leaders, they hate uncertainty. They spend their lives trying to minimize it, to control it. They want 5-year plans, predictable forecasts, guaranteed outcomes.
Of course they do, because in a stable, predictable world, efficiency wins. If you know exactly what is going to happen for the next 5 years, your only job is to optimize the machine to execute that plan perfectly. But Lopez's core argument is that we are not in a stable world anymore. We are at the frontier. And at the frontier, structural advantage emerges from ambiguity.
Explain that. How do you get an advantage from not knowing what's happening?
If you wait for best practices, you are already too late. Think about it. By the time a best practice is written down in a Harvard Business Review case study, the competitive advantage is gone. It's been commoditized, everyone is doing it, and the value has been competed away.
So safety is actually the riskiest position.
Safety is just preserving stability at the cost of relevance. If you insist on safety and predictability, you will become perfectly efficient at doing something that no longer matters. The organizations that win in the next decade will be the ones willing to operate inside ambiguity, using AI to run thousands of simulations, to probe the unknown, to fail fast and cheap at the edge. They will embrace uncertainty as the raw material of creation.
This leads to some uncomfortable truths that Lopez mentions. And I think this is where we need to be really honest with our listeners. This transition is not going to be a smooth, happy slide into the future. It's going to break things. It's going to hurt.
It's going to be brutal for many. AI treats work as a systems layer. It doesn't care about your hierarchy, your title, or your feelings. This will force leaders to confront the fact that many of their current meetings, approval processes, and even entire layers of management are just performative coordination rituals.
Performative coordination ritual. Can we just unpack that phrase for a second?
It means we meet to show that we are meeting. We have a weekly check-in because that's what we've always done. We require 3 levels of approval on a $500 expense to show that we have the power to approve things. But does any of it actually add value to the outcome? Does it make the product better or the customer happier?
A lot of the time, no. It just adds friction.
AI will expose this ruthlessly. If a digital twin can verify compliance with a regulation in milliseconds, why do we need the weekly 1-hour compliance review meeting?
We don't. But the person running that meeting feels important because of it. Their identity is tied to it.
Exactly. And this triggers a profound identity crisis, especially for middle and senior management. Leaders must stop deriving their value, their sense of self-worth, from being the smartest person in the room or the final approver on a document. Their value must come from being the architect of the system that allows others and AIs to do their best work.
That is a massive ego check. It's incredibly hard to let go of being the one with all the answers, the one everyone comes to.
It is. It's a kind of death. But the alternative is obsolescence. If you cling to the old identity, the decider, the bottleneck, the system will simply and efficiently route around you.
So let's try to summarize this entire massive shift. It's a complete overhaul of work as we know it. We are moving from efficiency to orchestration, from labor to capital, literally turning our expertise into operational models using tools like Neosentia. And on a personal level, from busyness to sovereignty.
That's the arc. That's the journey. And solutions like Neosentia and these digital twins, they aren't just cool tech novelties on the horizon. They are the practical mechanisms that allow this shift to happen. They are the bridge between the individual human expert and the scalable, coherent system. Without the twin, the idea of turning labor to capital is just a theory. With the twin, it becomes an executable reality.
It's a lot to digest, a lot to think about. But I think the message is crystal clear. The train has well and truly left the station. You can either be on it, helping design the tracks, or you can be left standing on the platform wondering why your old paper ticket doesn't work anymore.
I would leave you, the listener, with this final thought, which is derived directly from Lopez's writing. It's a question you should probably ask yourself in the mirror tomorrow morning, maybe during your 60 minutes of system recalibration.
Let's hear it.
If your expertise can be encoded into a system that works while you sleep, are you willing to stop being the bottleneck? Or are you holding on to the grind, to the busyness, because it's the only way you know how to prove your value?
That is the question. The future isn't arriving in 5 years. It's already here, executing inside systems that were not designed for it. Redesign or be made obsolete. Thank you for listening to The Deep Dive. We will see you next time.